Hello guys, welcome back to another episode of a Conan build video. Today I've thought about doing something a little bit different than what I usually build, because typically I build the houses and I've built occasional castles here and there, small ones, big ones. But this time I'm thinking of building something that you might see maybe more in real life, especially if you live in a certain part of the world, and that's going to be a pagoda. And where I am right now is I am in E7, actually between E7 and 8, which is this little oasis place. And this is where you can learn the Mitra religion, which is just over there, as you could, where I'm punching. Now this spot can be a little bit dangerous because you have the black rhino that's here, but I think this is a good spot for it to be. I know it's in the middle of the desert. I was thinking the jungle or the desert, but I think an oasis and building it in the middle of this oasis is a really good idea. Another good spot I would recommend as well would probably be in oh, what is this? Oh, there we go. Would probably be in, let's see, B 7 and 8, so somewhere around here where this island is. That's another good spot there, but there's a world boss that's there, so I'd be careful there too. But I'm going to be building out of the Khitan and also the Yamatai building pieces. So Yamatai is more Japanese, while Khitan is more Chinese. So I want to just combine the two of them just to mesh them together because I think both of them work well together. So what I'm going to do first is, as I usually do, and I will explain this in every video pretty much with every build, is we're going to build with the foundations first, and then we're going to use fence foundations instead. So I'm going to start with the Khitan foundations. And I'm not going to use any of the square foundations. I'm actually deciding to use the wedge only. And we're going to do sort of like I believe it would be a hexagon. Yeah, we're going to do a hexagon pattern. And this is where the entrance will be right here. I might want to bring that up a little bit higher. We want something with a little bit more of a foundation that's showing. And I'm just going to do 3 right here. So altogether you have 5 on this side, and it's going to go around in what you could consider maybe a circle, but not really a circle. So this is the closest you can get to being a circle. I mean, with using regular foundations, you could also use them to make more of a circular shape, but it still doesn't work. I wish that they would have more circle pieces. That would actually make things a lot better, but I don't know if that would work based on the engine. I know for the tent stuff that they added a while back, you could do stuff like that. All right, so we have our hexagon here, and what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to take the Khitan fence foundations, and I'm going to have these go all the way around. And the reason I'm doing this, and as I've explained in previous videos, but if you're new here, I'm going to explain it to you for the first time. I use this because in the game, it takes a lot more rendering power for the regular foundations than it does for the fence foundations. So I'm going to be using the fence foundations as sort of the outline rather than the actual wedge foundations or even square foundations, just because it takes less rendering power. And to make up for the support that is not going to be there when I put ceilings instead of these foundations, I'm going to put pillars underneath them just to make sure that there's enough support. So since I have the fence foundations all the way around, I'm just going to go ahead and get rid of all these regular wedge foundations and replace them with ceiling wedge pieces. So I'm just going to go around here, get rid of all these, just like that. So you want to shape like this. So make sure that it looks like a hexagon like this. And then I'm going to grab my Khitan wedges and just go around. Similar shape as before, it's just following the outline here and just going all the way around. Oops. And it's okay if you miss a piece here and there. I'm building in creative, so I mean, even if you have the hammer out in survival, it's as easy as this, since you need the hammer in creative mode anyway. So it just makes things easier. I'm not going to get rid of that rock just because I'm covering it up anyway, so there's no reason for me to get rid of it. But if it does bother you, we'll get rid of it. Because honestly, it does bother me too. So I'll just get this out of the way. Okay. So it doesn't matter what pillar you're using underneath because it's not going to come through. So I'm just going to use the Keton pillars just because I'm already on that menu. And I'm just going to go around here and just put all the pillars down and make sure that it's touching all the way through the ground. Otherwise, it won't actually have the proper support that it needs in order for it to stay up. So, and just go all the way around just like that. So that way there's support on all sides, and you can see that it's a bright green or like a darker green, which means that it's it has the most amount of support that it has. If it's more orange or if it's red or even starting to turn yellow, that means there's less support there and it'll be harder for you to build up with that. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is I'm not going to make this super tall because I've thought about in the past, before starting this build video, of using the gate frame here, but that's a little too tall. That's way too tall for what we're trying to build because pagodas are tall, but for the base and as you build up, they become tall based on how many floors there are, not based on like big doors or anything like that. We want to be kind of small and minimalist with this. So I think a good way to do this would be, and I've thought about this before. So there's two methods to my madness with this build. One is I just use all of the on all sides on the at least the base, the ground floor. I use the door frames, the Keton door frames here, where there's openings on all sides, letting in all kinds of light from outside, doing it that way. And then just sort of building up where we have windows all the way around on this section of the ground floor. And then you just go all the way around like this with just all windows. And then I finish it off by putting regular Keton walls on the top here. Now, you don't have to do this. Oops. Sometimes that happens too. You don't have to do this method if you don't want to. What you could do instead is just have maybe the door frames on just the front side or just one of them and then everything else be windows, or like the middle part could be a window here, then walls on both sides on every single side, just following a pattern like that. But I think this way for this build I think is a little bit better, at least for the style I'm going for. And don't worry, these aren't going to be places where you're just going to be walking out and falling into the water, except for this side. We're going to be building sort of a platform that goes all the way around so that way you can actually walk outside, but not too far, not like bridges on all sides, but just at least a place to go around if you want to look outside on all, like a 360 view from this place, which I think I'll go ahead and do now. And I'm going to continue using the wedge foundations, or not foundations, but the ceilings to go all the way around with this. And instead of putting pillars underneath it, I'm going to make it look more, I guess, natural, or have it be connected in a way with the build where it looks a little more pleasing to the eye, if that makes sense. So what I'll be using instead, and you're probably wondering, where's the Yamatai? Because the Yamatai I haven't used yet. The Yamatai is going to come in with the roof pieces, because for me, like, the Yamatai just looks smoother with roof pieces if you look at it like that compared to Keton. Because Keton looks a little like older, more rustic, which if you're going for that kind of look, that's pretty, I mean, I think it works with that kind of style, and you can see the difference here, where this is like actual like wood logs that are attached to it, when this one is, I don't know what kind of material you'd call that, but definitely not wood. It doesn't look more wood-like, or it looks more polished, I guess. If it's still wood, it looks more polished than that. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to use these, where's my Yamatai? So I'm going to use the inverted wedge sloped roof pieces. And we're going to go across a combination of both the wedge roof pieces all the way around, to where they just connect to the very bottom part of the base of this pagoda, and we're just going to go all the way around. All sides here. Now this front part here is where the stairs will go. So we could do something like that for Yamatai, or we could do Khitan stairs, which look more like this. Which I think this matches a lot better than it does with the Yamatai. So I think that looks a lot better, with the railing especially. And I think for the railing, Khitan would match a lot better with this, just because it's red, when Yamatai is more of the white. And I just think the roof pieces is just all we're going to be using for the build for this. So let me go back to Khitan and put the fences here. And then I'll go back around with the other wedge roof pieces to fill in the small gaps. Yeah, we don't want this 360 platform to be too big because it might just look a little awkward. So something subtle like that looks so much better, in my opinion. All right, so I'm going to go back around and fill in the gaps with these roof pieces. And sometimes, you know, some spots can be a little bit finicky where you have to do a bit of maneuvering with your build or with your pieces in order for it to cooperate, because it does not want to connect sometimes. And it's kind of annoying that it doesn't want to do that. It does it for the inverted wedge pieces, which for this side, I'm not going to bother. But yeah, you might have to do a little bit of a strange thing for this to work. And it might not work because the way that this is in the ground, so it's not connecting to something. So that's probably why it's not wanting to cooperate. So it's... maybe if I put a ceiling down or maybe a foundation, it might want to work better in that regard, but we'll see here. I'm gonna... Here, give me just a second, and I will see if I can make sure that this can connect to it. So, give me 1 second. All right. That actually took a little bit faster. That took less time than I imagined. So what I did was, it was a bit weird, and I might have to do that to the other side where there's another part that is not connected. But I had to use ceilings, and there's like a ceiling piece that is in the ground here, but I was able to connect it together so I can have the regular wedge piece connect like that. So I can just close this off like that, replace the ceiling pieces up here, since I was using a foundation first and I just didn't replace it yet. Grab this, and there we go. And the same thing has to be here too. That rhino is stepping all over my build right now. Yeah, that's the thing about the rhino. Like, I've been building in dangerous parts recently, so I apologize for that. But, you know, if you're in creative mode, there's nothing to worry about. And you could build this pagoda in any other place if you want to. It doesn't have to be where I'm building it, and that's the beauty of doing something like this in Conan, because you could build pretty much anywhere you want. Okay, I think this one is not gonna work out as well, just because of how much in the ground it is, and I don't think that I would be able to connect all those ceiling pieces together, unless I could be wrong. I could also go into ghost mode if I want to, which will allow me to go into the ground like this, and I might be able to connect up these ceiling pieces if it permits me to do so. It does not. All right, so, but this is a cool method to see like what is in the ground, how far things are inside, etc., etc. You might have to do this in survival mode, because I've had times before where I would put pieces down and somehow they would connect in a place underground that I didn't even know was possible. And I'd have to have, like, playing online, I had to have an admin or something come and help me with that. And it just, yeah, it just wasn't working out well. And this part right here might not be able to work either. So it's okay to have those little gaps there. As long as everything else is connected, I think it looks fine the way it is. Okay, so now we need to get to the actual, tower part. And I need to get rid of ghost mode. That way I don't phase through everything. Now I'm going to build the roof going around, and I'm going to bring it down to the same level as this wall piece here. Bring it down this way, and we're going to go all the way around with these regular slope pieces. And I am not using the roof piece that I was talking about earlier. I'm using Kitan, and I'm meaning to use Yamatai. There we go. Yeah, I think this combination is just good. Both of these styles are good. You could do the entire build Yamatai or Kitan, every piece being the same, part of the theme, or you can combine them, or you can even add some other, other styles into this too if you want to. Totally up to you. As long, if it works, it works. All right, so now we can't connect the corners because we need some support underneath it. So I'm going to take some of our Yamatai ceilings, and I think this is a good thing to see because I like the stone that's on the sides here, and you can kind of see it poking through. And I just think it's good. And the good thing about Yamatai ceilings is that it doesn't matter what direction you're having them face, at least from underneath. It doesn't make much difference which way they're facing. So, and this, I mean, the same thing goes with all the wedges as well, even in any circumstance, even with the frontier ceiling pieces, because, they're shaped in a way that all directions are pointing towards the middle on the sides, so it doesn't really matter. All right, so now I'm going to take the wedge slope roof and connect this up with all the corners here, so that way all the corners are meeting with each other, just like so. Now, to get the point across, there's a pun there, because I'm going to be having these corners point upward, because if you see pictures of, and I'll probably post one up here, if you see pictures of pagodas, usually on the corners they have a curved roof that points upward. Now, in the store, in the bazaar, they had a build set with that kind of roofing style, but I didn't get it, unfortunately. But what I'm going to do instead as a substitute, and this is kind of like the next best thing to do in this sort of circumstance, is I took the wedge sloped roofs here, and I decided to have them face the opposite direction of this sloped roof right here. So it looks just like this. So these corner pieces, they're not a smooth curve. They're very much like a 45-degree angle, but it still works. It still works. All right, so the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to just fill up the next level here of this roof. And with this being all wedges, all wedge ceilings, foundations, everything, I have to use these wedge pieces in order to actually fit the shape of this roof design. So we're going to go all the way around here, just like so. And we need support underneath this too. So what I'm going to do is just bring out some ceilings, Kitan ceilings here. And I really like the Kitan ceilings. I really like it because I love the pattern that's on the floor. Yamatai floors are okay if you're building more like shops, or probably like smaller builds, like small houses, Japanese homes and stuff like that. But for something like the Kitan floors, it definitely you could see it with the pattern and just the material they're made out of, that bigger builds is best used for this sort of thing. All right, and then I'm just going to go in and take our regular Kitan walls and kind of line this around, which is usually something I like to do, but this also isn't just because it's something I usually do, but this also helps with the inverted sloped roofs to connect to something because they can't just be floating there. They have to be connected to something because, again, support is very vital in a game like this because there is structural integrity in this game. So you want to be mindful of that, which I do like structural integrity in games. Like 7 Days to Die does that as well. So, except 7 Days to Die is a little bit more lenient with it rather than Conan Exiles. Okay, so far, this is what it looks like. It doesn't really look like something to shake a stick at the moment, but we are getting to the actual better part of this build, which is actually building up the taller parts, the extra floors. Now, I don't really mind how many floors you put here. I think for this one, to make sure it has some decent height based on the width of the build, I think maybe 3 to 4 floors would be good to do for this build. So I'm going to go ahead and just line this floor with windows all the way around. Oops. All the way around like this because I want to get light on all sides. And the way that this shape is just a little bit, you want to make sure that you have, because if I did like a wall here, a window here, wall here, window here, it might just look a little bit odd compared to just me lining the entire floor with windows. Plus, I just think it looks good overall because you can have a 360 view, just like down here on this. You could probably call it like a porch or something, which I probably refer to it as a porch. Just have a better view of everything because you could look on all sides, see if there's enemies coming from one direction, or if you see something in distance that you want to grab, something that's right there, you could do that. And then with each floor, I'm going to build it up by 2 with the windows on the first part and then the regular walls on the second. And then I'm going to go in just like with this bit here where I have the windows and the regular wall and put in the sloped roofs. Put in the sloped roofs just like this. I want to make sure I'm actually using Yamatai again. And pretty much repeat the pattern. And it takes a little less time since it's a smaller shape here, since we built up closer to its center. So I'm just going to go around with the Yamatai ceiling pieces, make sure that each place is covered here, and then go in with the Yamatai wedge pieces as well. All the way around in these corners, just like so, and then finish it off with the sloped roofs. And then doing the same thing where I have, not only them covering the corner here, but also having them facing out like this to have more of that curved but not so curved look. If that building set goes back in the store, I'm definitely getting it, and I will definitely redo a video like this that actually makes it look more proper. And I think it would definitely do it more justice than how I'm doing it right now. But this is the next best thing to do. So, and I'm just going to repeat this for another 2-3 times. So just, as I did for the first bit for this floor down here, you just want to do the same thing again for the next floor and then the floor after that. However tall you want to make it. I mean, you can have it go all the way up to the top of the skybox if you want to, which is really tall. Just as long as you have enough support, that's all that matters. So what I'm going to do is just cut out this part here. And when I come back, I'll show you what it looks like when I have all the floors that I think would be looking good for this completed. So I'll see you guys in a minute. All right, so I looked for the map room, and the only way for me to find it was to do it through the search bar in the admin panel. It's way too big for this space. So I think the best place would either be having a religious shrine here, so whatever religion you want to do. For example, we could use, which one of my favorites, at least in terms of aesthetics, Sanctum of Set, which is really good. Oh, is this? No, never mind. Okay, you might have to use something smaller, unfortunately, like a Pit of Yog, or yeah, that's even too tall too. Yeah, Yog is probably the best combination, or even the Mitra Shrine. Yeah, but I think sorcery would probably be fitting for this too. So I'm gonna bring out this Circle of Power here, and just place it right in the middle. Try to center this as best I can. but something like that right in the middle. That looks really cool. And then if you're able to probably have some of the side things here, like sacrificial stone on the side. I don't know if it could fit out here or not, but yeah, some weird. It needs like some weird amount of space for it to actually work. Same with the shallow grave, I think because of animation purposes, but something like the thaumaturgy bench actually works fine if you just put it anywhere really, like in a corner or something like that. Yeah, that works. But, you know, it's fine. And then the lights in here, I think for something like this, I think braziers would probably be more beneficial for this rather than hanging braziers. Um, so I think I'll use probably smaller ones, such as like the Sumerian brazier. That's probably too small. Something like, yeah, these iron braziers. I'll just sprinkle these around just like so. Just like this. On all sides here, so that way there's actually some light here. And then if you want to add some light that is up here, it would probably be best to add wall braziers to this. And maybe something that's not too noticeable, just something small, but adds a decent amount of light to this, just to, so for when it's nighttime, you can actually see up above. Yeah, and something like that. And then obviously at the top, be very bright up there, but yeah, you get the idea. Same for this part too. Just like that. That looks good. I think this build turned out really well, in my opinion. Yeah, I mean, look at that. That looks really nice. So I do recommend you guys trying this out too, and trying in your own combinations as well. If you do try this, definitely let me know what you used in your build instead of what I use, because really you can build whatever you desire out of any material that you want, and maybe add some changes to this than what I was doing, especially a place where you can climb up to the top or have a staircase, because obviously the rounded pagoda, at least in Conan Exiles, the way that this shape is, isn't really the best unless you have mods where you have a spiral staircase, because having just the vanilla staircases isn't going to work since they're more akin to being on square surfaces rather than triangular surfaces or wedged surfaces. But if you did enjoy this, be sure to hit the like button if you haven't already. I'd really appreciate that. And don't forget to hit subscribe as well, because that lets me know that you guys enjoy the content on the channel and would like to see more. And I'd like to give a shout out to my friends Gabe and Barry Medley for being members of the channel, and you can become a member too by hitting the join button down below. I've been Savvy, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye guys! See you later.